the videos that I haven't posted, you're not ready for them. Even though I have posted this one, but somehow I'm not deleting it. Why? I don't know. I really don't know. Let's listen to Savage. Good last name, huh?
And that I feel is needed and soon to be emerging in the movement. That's the big idea. And I want to acknowledge that it's not just mine. There was like 4 or 5 of us who just kept circling this until we started to put this not quite yet clear.
To listen to it again.
And also hold that frequency with for emergence, to gather such people together with the intention of holding a shared field for the emergence of the more beautiful world our hearts know is possible. So there is a sacred fire that I sense is burning at the center
Very nice.
of the more beautiful world our hearts know is possible, that is, as of now, not yet being consciously tended to by the appropriate folks who need to collaborate together to hold it sacred, and who will use resonance and coherence as their guide, hold that frequency, rotating in and out per their capacity, and then inviting more and more people who can also hold that frequency
Good.
with them or with us.
Good.
Until that frequency becomes the norm.
Good. Yeah.
So back to Occupy Wall Street for a second. One of the problems that we both agree on was fundamental to Occupy was that anyone could join, including those people who were out to destroy it. And there wasn't a way to avoid the problems that created. Here, conscious exclusion is the center of the thing. It's like, are you capable of tuning into and facilitating what wants to emerge in service of the more beautiful world our hearts know is possible? Can you hold this with us? And if you can, welcome. And if you
Look, this is not NFT art. This is just beautiful art. This is not your NFT BS.
You are not yet welcome. Please wait.
Please wait.
And then in come more of us and more of us. And I hope that my language approximates it enough that you can feel it. This shared frequency. A little bit more concretely, it might look like gatherings of facilitators whose intention it is to hold the space for the emergence of the more beautiful world our hearts know is possible, working together to find coherence with the ultimate intention of allowing that world to come through. That's the center of the movement that hasn't yet formed.
Art should be more practical at this point in our life.
Needed and not yet available at the Emerge gathering, and that I feel is needed and soon to be emerging in the movement. That's the big idea. And I want to acknowledge that it's not just mine. There was like 4 or 5 of us who just kept circling this until we started to put this not quite yet clear language to it, but I'll stop there to see what you got out of it.
I want to pause and just let it sink in.
Yeah.
So what I notice is that there's, again, a kind of brings.
Who are you to be that?
Is it time yet? Am I ready? Are we ready?
Oh yeah, fuck yeah, it's time.
And I even
Time is yesterday.
I live in this like kind of monastic like community, and I have for a long time. But the training I've been doing is and I've always felt like it's to prepare me for something like this, you know, and I can feel the longing in my heart.
Look at this chair.
That in a sense that like that is both the means and the end collapsed into one, right? That is the thing. And I could feel that being gestured towards at Occupy in moments, that there was that kind of means end collapse, but we couldn't hold it.
Yeah.
And then maybe I think it wasn't time. And so that's kind of the question I'm left with, and I hope listeners will forgive me. Maybe you have more concerns and kind of like
It's time, my loves.
kind of questions, but to me, from where I'm sitting, like you're giving more precise descriptions to a possibility that I've felt for a long time. And so, you know, I think I was already in a sense, before we met. And and then there is this question of timing and rightness of like kairos, you know, like the right moment that comes for me.
Well, to the extent that part of my role is to play the shofar, to blow the shofar, or sound the bugle for when the moment is.
The UX of this really sucks.
I don't yet feel it.
Yeah.
So it doesn't feel like it's yet, but it doesn't feel that far away. And, you know, my language here is approximate, and I think we want to do better, to find better language, so that when it's time to issue the call, it's crystal clear.
Oh, it's super clear. It's the call. It's happening. What else do you need, dear one?
But yeah, it feels really good that it feels true to you.
Oh, these chairs
and it
cute.
does feel to me too like what it's pointing to. And I have one more big idea to share when you're ready.
Super cute. They're super cute.
Climax.
Yeah,
Maybe I'll pause.
Let me see. Yeah, let's pause for a moment.
Yay, that's so cute.
I also want to be
How
sure
nice
I'm
are
clear, so if you
these
think there's something that wasn't clear, we could do better
chairs?
at clarifying. I'd be very down to.
This is the part that I'm kind of worried about. For me, it's extremely clear. It's crystal. But when I take on the point of view of my listeners, I don't. It's harder for me to see. But I don't. It's like to come up with clarifying questions to use a consensus decision-making
Make these out of
terminology.
crystals,
It
too.
feels
Yeah,
artificial
yeah.
to me right now. It doesn't feel like real, so I'm not going to do it.
Cool.
And I would invite folks, if you don't feel with it right now, to just like rewind the podcast and hear the explanation again, or hear the description again. And
It's a good description,
if you have
David.
questions, like let them burn you until you get clarity, because it seems pretty clear to
No
me.
need to burn.
And I think there's reasons for that, and I think there's
love
reasons
that.
why it's clear to you too. You know.
I'll trust that.
Yeah.
I also really appreciate that. I've
Very
never
nice.
heard
Well
somebody
done,
who's
these pieces.
responsible for an audience say it doesn't feel right to try to clarify for the audience.
I'm emboldened by your framing.
Yeah, love it.
Yeah, so why don't you lay down the final piece? Is this the last piece?
This is it. This is
Okay.
it. This is it. It's probably just not just, it's a continuation of the last thing that we said, this ultimate, like a gathering, a perpetual gathering, both live and online, both like between
Right.
actual people in real time, and also happening in parallel by people who sense it, of facilitators working to hold the space for the emergence of the more beautiful world and syncing up with each other so that it holds with integrity. I think I know one thing that will come through that. So yes, the more beautiful world our hearts know is possible is the intention, but I have a prophecy for what will emerge en route from here to there. And that I believe we are going to experience in our lifetimes, sometime soon-ish, collective experiences, collective, undeniable experiences of the divine. Shared, collective,
Define the
undeniable
divine, David.
experiences of the divine. And not inside a religious context that allows for rational skepticism, but inside a comprehensible framework that allows for anyone with an open enough mind to experience, and that spreads around the world. So when enough of us are holding a sacred container for emergence, when enough facilitators are holding a sacred container for emergence, and enough people who are able to allow things through them are gathered together, then what will emerge, one thing that will emerge will be the collective experience of the divine. The closest analogy I have is Mount Sinai. Moses went up Mount Sinai and got the 10 Commandments, but it was clear to everyone down at the bottom of the mountain that God was present. And I think the age of Moses might be over. We are no longer going to rely on the single prophet with the direct connection to God. We have exhausted that approach to spirituality. Now, as has been said many times, the collective is going to serve as the prophet, the ultimate prophet, and soon the collective will be ready to do that, or at least some collectives will be ready to do that. So this is the spiritual awakening that we have been sensing, calling for, intuiting, and now it feels on the horizon, and I'm able to articulate how we get there.
The next Messiah is the Sangha.
Yes.
Collective consciousness.
That's what I got.
Nothing new, David. Davidушечка, мой хороший. Nothing new.
Good stuff. Well, so I do. There's a voice in me. There's a voice in me, and I have to imagine that this one is in folks who are listening, because given my life, I'm actually surprised that it's coming up, which is a kind of cynical voice, right? It's saying we don't have time for that. That will never work.
All right.
That is foolish, as in the opposite of wise. The wise thing to do is to consolidate political power, is to do really intense systems design networking with powerful agents to try to make some kind of significant change in the system. You know, there's all these levers we can pull and strategies we can deploy, and you know, I wonder what I have my own response to that voice in me, but I think it's important to name that kind of cynical
Mm-hmm.
voice. And what would you say to that?
Try. I mean, I don't know. I can't exhaust you of that effort unless you either go through it and realize in a way you can feel that it doesn't work in the fundamental way. It works sometimes to modulate some of the most horrible effects of our current system, but I don't think anyone believes that organizing in conventional ways to gather political power is going to affect the kind of drastic shift that we need to preserve the biosphere, and better to like set up a harmonious relationship in perpetuity between humans and the planet. So you can try and you'll fail, and then you'll learn what those of us who have given up have already figured out. Or you need to have an experience that shows you. If you have an experience of the divine, a concrete, inarguable experience of the divine, you feel in your body, then you know
Nice
already
online shop
that the
layout.
accumulation of political power in conventional forms is not going to bring about a meaningful enough shift in time. And then if you can start to imagine having collective experiences of the divine, what more could we want? I mean, the most powerful and transformational ideas that have swept the world, or at least a lot of them, the ones we are all in the shadows of, are based on collective experiences of the divine. Moses on Mount Sinai, Jesus on the cross, sitting with Buddha. These are collective experiences of the divine, unfortunately, as experienced through a single man, but you can imagine it being experienced more directly.
Or through a woman.
I don't know. I guess I would say
How about
that the cynicism
birth?
is
How is that not
welcome
divine?
and a function of where we are.
Daviduszko.
Yeah. Yeah. I appreciate this most because mostly my mind is rendered silent.
I'm triggered, Daviduszko. I'm triggered.
And
I think you're limiting yourself.
It feels appropriate.
Still.
Feels appropriate. Yeah, and I can feel in the silence the longing and the yearning.
Wow.
That your vision touches in me.
These thoughts.
My equivalent of your cynical voice is like, it's like almost like a whatever quality in me, which is sort of in my tone sometimes. The only way I can hold what I'm saying is to trivialize it somehow. So when I try to vision it, I'm in it. I'm honoring it. I'm doing my best. But then when I take the pause, something comes over me. It's like, yeah, whatever. So I can't hold it totally either.
Well, I think none of us can. That's why it needs to be
men definitely can't.
Because I mean, my experience is with even really deep cats that they fall down often because the world right now is just so burdensome. You know, it's just so harsh. And so yeah, it's the idea of doing it with the kind of maybe it's not the right analogy, but a metaphor of an army of folks
Mhm.
who are dedicated to this and who are willing. I mean, this is one piece that came out for me, who are willing to sacrifice, right? Who are really willing to sacrifice. This was one of the things that was so
Sacrifice what?
compelling about Occupy, is that there were people who just gave up their lives to be there.
I can't listen to white men speaking about the ways that humanity is going to work in the future. I just don't think this is going to be any of value to us anymore. Well, what do you think? I think I'm being too harsh. I had a dream last night about being again excluded and chased away from a small group of people that I brought together, okay, that are in my space that I created, and they all collectively decided that I need to go. Italians need to design better websites that have a little bit less of clicking to do.
Sane sacrifice to folks who are still embedded within certain narrative structures and of what life is for. And the other thing that it occurs to me, and we saw this at Occupy, the other thing that will come rushing in is all of the unfelt pain of our world. Right? This happened at Occupy. All the folks who felt like they've been cast aside by our culture showed up for the occupation to have their voices heard, have their pain recognized. So, which of course, with skillful facilitation, becomes a portal into that kind of collective experience of divinity. But it was just kind of like feeling into the immensity of the kind of thing that you're pointing to is
Yes,
an
objects.
adventure for sure, to say the least.
We will need huge containers for the processing of pain. And those containers need to be held distinct from the making of decisions.
I remember when I had that insight at Occupy. Great.
No,
Well,
don't have time for that. There's going to be no containers.
there's a part of me that wants to be like, well, like, how do we know when the bat signal goes out, David? Like,
It's
where
there,
does
you
that come from? How
fuckers!
we
The
get it?
bat signal is here!
Who pushes the button?
I pushed the fucking button! Stupid man. I can't do that anymore. Honestly, we're gonna be still talking and 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 talking until the button has already been pushed a long time ago. But you're not noticing it. Because you're still in the illusion that things are needed to, be triggered before things get down. Living at the time of war, honestly, I don't think people really understand. And the thing is, like, nobody's asking me questions. No. Like, Natalia, how is it to be in the Metaslavic lands during our times that we live in? What does it feel like? Nobody asks me. Nobody. I mean, only the closest couple, but honestly, nobody really cares. Because it's too difficult to hear. It sucks to be in this place right now. It really sucks. People are completely zombified. People are in their little bubbles trying to survive. They cannot do anything. They're completely stuck. And wherever they are, those who have left, they've left. Who could have leave, they left. Some came back and then left again. it really sucks to be here right now. It really does. And unless you're in a bubble and deciding to just like close your eyes on everything that is happening and, drink your latte in a fashionable cafe, which is also, what's happening. Nobody gives a shit. Nobody wants to give a shit anymore. Nobody can give a shit anymore because everything is being monitored and, silenced to the point of no return. You exit your home, you're being monitored. You're at home, you're being monitored. Every single action is being monitored. It's pretty clear. We're still all being very, you're very monitored. Mm-hmm. That's why I'm recording everything I'm doing online, because at this point, I'm just going to be sharing everything with you transparently, what's happening, and my perspectives on things, while I can. Because the time will come when I choose, my choice, to not engage in anything online for protection of my privacy and safety. I will choose not to be part of the story anymore. Look at the amount of names here. There's so much to explore in the world out there, and I will be exploring it more in physical, not in digital. And many of us will go into the digital outside. Sorry, we're going to go into the physical outside of the digital. We're just going to be out of this whole thing. Because this becomes so intensely saturated, this whole online experience. Everything is a metaverse. You don't need to create a freaking space online that looks like some kind of gallery or whatever to be part of the metaverse narrative. This is what I'm doing right now, is showing you that everything is metaverse. Everything that we are doing online is part of it. Simple as that. What else do you need to see? This is super beautiful. Oh yeah, it's textile, huh? Physical, physical, physical. Physical, everything is physical. Not digital. Physical. Grounded. Physical. If you're gonna go digital way too hard and way too far away, you're gonna die. You're gonna die. Your mental health is not gonna be able to handle it. You understand? That's it. I knew it will come to an end. Look, if you've changed your DNA, I sense it right through you. You're not going to be part of the key voices anymore because I don't trust you. You're technology that I don't want to trust. You're becoming as digital as this website now, TV led by people like you. So there's not that many of us that are left. And not all of those that haven't changed their DNA would actually have the brain capacity to lead the shift. So there's not that many of us left who would be actually the key voices in truth, co-creation. You understand it? Add water. Good designs. That's the gallery. That looks like something that is not a piece for the interior bathrooms. Deeply dissatisfied by the state of humanity because so many had decided to give up. Give up their sovereignty. Give up their health. Give up their minds. Give up their lives. Very sad. Guys, well done. Beautiful rugs. You want to hear Esther Perel or you want to hear someone else? You want to hear me? Okay, what would you like to hear? The kind of houses that we're going to be building in the future are very organic. Very organic. They're made of organic materials like clay. There's going to be nothing inorganic anymore in our presence. Everything that is inorganic will be gone. We'll have to work with organic materials. Otherwise, we are not going to sustain life on planet Earth anymore. Yeah, everything that is inorganic would just not make it into the next dimension that we're working at. And the shapes of the housing will be very, very, very nature-like. It will be all inspired by nature. It will be all in a way that is simple efficient, clear, and clean. And it will be aesthetically very beautiful. Very, very beautiful. Because it will be nature inspired. Everything that is nature inspired is beautiful. Technology will be much, much more subtle than it is now. Everything will be powered by inner technology, not the outer technology. We'll be living in communities mostly. Nobody will be alone. Some random YouTube. Claire's again. Someone, and I'm completely out of the Web3 narrative at this point. Do you want to hear this?
Recently, you've kind of come
Ну, секторе
into the
роста
what we call like liminal or game B web, right? You aren't a long time member of this community, but instead it's a kind of recent exposure. I think you have a unique perspective on how and what the significance of this kind of network is in the larger context that you see and that you're a part of because of the work you do.
Game B. I wonder if they talk about Web3. No. Maybe I should reach out to him and talk about the Web3. What you think?
с 25 до 75 миллиардов рублей. Это одно из решений, которое может расширить участие компаний. И я бы также предложила рассмотреть вариант перераспределения внутри лимита, выделенного на программу МСП, понимая всю ограниченность бюджетных ресурсов, именно лимит в большей степени фокусировать на быстрорастущих, высокотехнологичных, инновационных компаниях. Второе, на наш взгляд, необходимо разработать критерии вот таких быстрорастущих, высокотехнологических компаний и своего рода таксономию таких компаний, аналогично тому, как это делалось по аналогии с ESG. И это позволит ввести классификацию таких компаний, проектов, обеспечить раскрытие информации по ним для инвесторов, создаст ориентиры для компаний, инвесторов, позволит сделать более предметными меры государственной поддержки. И мы также можем учитывать это в своем регулировании финансовых организаций. Это предусмотрено дорожной картой со сроком на 4-й квартал этого года, бесшовности, о лифтах, что меры поддержки должны иметь преемственность и быть сквозными для разных стадий жизненного цикла компании. Потому что у нас действительно мер поддержки очень много, форм очень много, и об этом коллеги говорили, но важно поддерживать именно вот этот жизненный цикл. Вот так, например, сейчас есть механизмы субсидирования затрат малого и среднего бизнеса на размещение акций на бирже, но это не распространяется, например, на размещение акций на крауд-платформах, которые приобретают все больше и больше вес. И, как я уже говорила, это часто стадии, которые предшествуют выходу на биржу, и примеры этого есть, и поэтому вот эту цепочку финансирования, которая учитывает разные инструменты и обеспечивает бесшовность, весь жизненный цикл, конечно, очень важно. И я бы хотела еще отметить важность комплексной консалтинговой инфраструктуры. Это важно как раз для малых, потенциально быстро растущих инновационных компаний. И такие практики, как меры поддержки, широко применяются во многих странах, те, которые показывают высокие темпы инноваций. это финансовый, технический, бизнес-консалтинг участников проекта. Это облегчит для компании прохождение всех необходимых процедур. Они у нас непростые, которые иногда эти процедуры представляются как непреодолимые барьеры. И вот такая система сопровождения, поддержки тоже может развиваться, и мы на базе Московской биржи также собираемся это делать. То есть в целом меры инфраструктуры есть, но вот, на мой взгляд, их нужно больше фокусировать и масштабировать для того, чтобы более активно использовать инструменты рыночного финансирования. И совсем маленький комментарий по предложению, которое выдвинул Андрей Ремович, по тому, что интеллектуальную собственность признавать как высококачественные формальных норм банковского регулирования. Почему нужно обеспечение? Это если по кредиту заемщик не заплатил, обеспечение можно продать. Можно продать и таким образом рассчитаться с вкладчиками, с кредиторами. Поэтому здесь очень важна оценка этого обеспечения. Еще более важно оборот интеллектуальной собственности, изменения.
Пенсионные накопления, пенсионные фонды, но, как мы хорошо знаем, и Эльвира сейчас об этом тоже сказала, нужно обеспечить, если не высокую доходность, но везде в мире пенсионные фонды и не рассчитывают на высокую доходность, нужно обеспечить сохранность этих средств. А здесь без поддержки государства не обойтись. Надо просто продумать эту систему. Значит, и надо признать, что несмотря на все наши усилия, сегодня все-таки финансовая система не обеспечивает доступ высокотехнологичных и быстро развивающихся компаний к источникам финансирования. И их нет сегодня. А без этого не обойтись. Значит, и здесь нужны дополнительные решения. Если вот то, что здесь сейчас прозвучало, этими дополнительными решениями является, то будем рассчитывать на то, что они будут эффективно применяться. Их
Эффективно применяться. Вы знаете, токенизация останется, но токенизация будет не через технологии. Красивый очень шрифт. 4 потрясающих текста. Дисфункциональные технологии. Фигня все это, короче, мы все понимаем прекрасно уже. Новое братство. Какой хороший текст. Good point. Вообще, вот это очень интересный текст. Я даже не знаю, как его категоризировать. Ам, ам. Код есть закон. Тоже хорошее достаточно, да, описание. Сейчас нет у меня достаточно внимания, чтобы отчитать сейчас, но очень любопытно это будет потом вернуться посмотреть. Interesting. Oh, I saw this article before. We should try to reduce the burden of building software. Golden words. It's as simple as that. Good times. I saw this article as well. I'm gonna read this later. I can't do this anymore. But I'm so curious.
For online content creators, the unavoidable subject of 2021 has been NFTs, from incredibly cringe-worthy ape profile pics to incomprehensibly tasteless tributes to deceased celebrities to six-figure
This is
sales
from
of the
January. I mean,
original
look,
copy of a meme. It
how it
is
is.
the thing that is currently dominating the collective brain space of digital artists and sucking up all the oxygen in the room. And I do want to talk about that. I want to talk about my opinions on NFTs and digital ownership and scarcity and all the myriad dimensions of the issue, but I don't just want to talk about NFTs. I can't just talk about NFTs because ultimately they are just a symbol of so much more, and it is that more that is ultimately important. So let me tell you a story.
I'm so glad I'm not in New York anymore because I wouldn't be able to handle this cringy hype.
In 2008, the economy functionally collapsed. The basic chain reaction was this. Banks came up with a thing called a mortgage-backed security, a financial instrument that could be traded or collected that was based on a bundle of thousands of individual mortgages. Based on the general reluctance of banks to issue mortgages, the usually decades, these bonds were seen as especially stable. However, they were also immensely profitable for the banks who both issue the mortgages and the bonds. Because of that perceived stability, a lot of other financial organizations like pension funds and hedge funds use them as the backbone of their investment portfolio. In this arrangement, a mortgage becomes more profitable to the bank issuing the mortgage as a component of a bond than it is as a mortgage. Proportionally, the returns per mortgage from the bond are just that much better than the returns from the isolated mortgage. There's some problems though. Problem one is that the biggest returns on a bond come from when it first hits the market. A new bond that creates new securities sales is worth more than an old bond that is slowly appreciating but not seeing much trade. Problem two is that there are a finite number of people and houses in America. The market has to level out at a natural ceiling, as eventually all or nearly all mortgages are packaged into bonds, thus very few new bonds can be generated and sold. So here's the incentives that are created. One, it's good for banks if there are more houses that they can issue mortgages for. Two, the more mortgages issued, the better, because a bad mortgage is worth more as a component of a bond than a good mortgage that's not part of a bond. So real estate developers find that they have a really easy time getting funding from banks for creating vast new suburbs full of houses that can be sold to generate mortgages, but rather than building the kind of housing that most people actually need and want, they focus specifically on the kinds of upper middle class houses that fit into the sweet spot from the perspective of the banks packaging the bonds. Buyers, in turn, find that they have a suspiciously easy time getting a mortgage, despite the fact that, for most people, the economy wasn't doing so great. Wages were stagnant, and yet even though developers were going absolutely haywire building new housing, the houses being built were all out of their price range to begin with, and counterintuitively, this massive increase in supply wasn't driving down the price. This is because the houses were being bought just mostly not by people intending to live in them. They were being bought by speculators who would then maybe rent them out or often just leave them vacant with the intent to sell a couple years later. Because speculators were buying up the supply, it created synthetic demand. The price keeps going up because speculators keep buying, which creates the illusion that the value is going up, which attracts more speculators who buy up more supply and further
I'm gonna
inflate the
remove
price.
people who are calling themselves like architectorka.
New mortgages purely for the sake of having more mortgages to
Similar
package
to
into
they,
bonds.
them.
The down payments are low and the
Forget
mortgages
about it.
all have a really attractive teaser rate, meaning that for the first 3 to 7 years of the mortgage, the monthly payments are rock bottom, as low as a few $100s per month against a mortgage that would normally charge thousands. Caught up in all this are legitimate buyers who have been lured into signing for a mortgage that they can't afford by aggressive salespeople who have an incentive to generate mortgages that they can then sell to a bank who can put it into a bond to sell to pension funds to make a line go up because it's good when the line goes up. It's a bubble. The bubble burst
I've
as
seen
the
this video.
teaser rates on the
I've seen this video. I've seen this video before. That's the latest one? No. Really? And then this person has been removed from the internet by the Web3 crew. Let's listen to music. I need to quiet down.
Ora na cachoeira que cai aqui, na cachoeira que cai aqui, eu aliviei a minha dor, a minha mãe Oxum me abençoou.
It's
Eu
terrible website design.
a minha dor, a minha mãe Oxum me abençoou. Saravá, minha mãe Oxum, Saravá, mãe das águas, Saravá, minha mãe Oxum, Saravá, Oxum. O poder da
I don't believe in 3D printing so much.
é o que me
I'm not sure why.
arredondamentou o poder.
I guess because it takes these machines.
É o que me lembra do arredondamento do planeta.
This scares the shit out of me. This whole thing.
Da nossa terra na luz que viaja da estrela em forma de espiral que traz tanta beleza.
This also not gonna go anywhere.
Informação na luz que viaja da estrela em forma de espiral que traz tanta beleza e informação. Ora, ora,
What? Another fashion.
Eu aliviei a minha dor, a minha mãe, Oxum me abençoou. Eu aliviei a minha dor, a minha mãe, Oxum me abençoou. Saravá, minha mãe, Oxum, Saravá, mãe das águas, Saravá, minha mãe, Oxum,
I can't take any more fashion news. I tried, can't.
poder da estrela da manhã é o que me lembra do arredondamento. O poder da estrela da manhã é o que me lembra do arredondamento do planeta da nossa terra. Na luz que viaja da estrela em forma de espiral, que traz tanta beleza e informação. Na luz que viaja da estrela em forma de espiral, que traz tanta beleza e informação. Ora, ora,
It's not new media, it's just videos integrated in your artworks. The gold has gone really crazy, huh? In the past month with you. The deep dives into the metaverse. Where haven't we been? Haven't looked at porn yet, but not going there for many years now. I think I only really checked out porn online when I was like, I don't know, 15. Got scared and then never came back.
Gayanti, la 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 la. Bhagavati Adakitewa Brahmade Vaheguru
Guru
Vayanti Kayanti Jagadadabati Adakitewa Brahmade
back
Treja Guru
magazines.
Itewa He Guru
What is happening?
Vayanti Kayanti Jaladadamati Adakitewa Brahmade Trejalila Itewa He Guru Vayanti Gayanti Jagadadapati Adakitewa Brahmade Trejalala Itewa He Guru Vayanti Gayanti Jaladadapati Adakitewa Brahmade Trejalala